Riverview Lane was the kind of street people dreamed about when they thought of a peaceful life. Neatly trimmed lawns, white fences, and houses that all looked different but somehow belonged together. In the evenings, the air smelled of grilled food and fresh-cut grass. Kids played outside until sunset, and no one worried about locking their doors. At the center of this perfect little world was Ethan Cole. If Riverview Lane had a mayor, it would have been him. Ethan was in his mid-30s, tall, well-spoken, and always dressed neatly. He had moved into the neighborhood 3 years ago, and within months, everyone knew his name. He helped Mrs. Dalton carry groceries every Sunday. He fixed Mr. Harris's broken fence without charging a cent. When someone's car broke down, Ethan was the first person they called. People trusted him without hesitation. "He's one of the good ones," they often said. So when Maya Reynolds moved into the house next door with her 16-year-old son Noah, Ethan naturally became their welcome committee. Maya had recently gone through a messy divorce. She wanted a fresh start, a quiet place to rebuild her life. Riverview Lane felt perfect, safe, normal. On her first day, while she struggled to pull a heavy sofa from the moving truck, Ethan appeared as if on cue. "Need a hand?" he asked with a warm smile. Within an hour, the furniture was inside, the boxes were stacked, and Ethan had even brought over lemonade. "You're really lucky to have him as a neighbor," Mrs. Dalton told Maya later. "He's practically family to all of us." And at first, it felt true. Ethan checked in on Maya almost daily. He gave Noah advice about school. He fixed Maya's leaking sink, changed a flat tire, even brought over dinner when she worked late. Slowly, subtly, he became part of their routine. Too much a part. Ethan noticed everything. He noticed what time Maya left for work. He noticed when Noah came home from school. He noticed which lights stayed on at night. He noticed when the house was quiet. Maya found it comforting. After years of feeling alone, it felt nice to have someone so dependable nearby. Sometimes, though, she felt a strange unease she couldn't explain. One evening, she mentioned it casually to her friend on the phone. "Ethan's great, honestly, but it's weird. Sometimes I feel like he knows my schedule better than I do." Her friend laughed. "That's what happens when someone's too nice." Maya laughed too. She didn't know that at that exact moment, Ethan was sitting in his living room, lights off, watching her house through binoculars. From across the street, he could see the soft glow of her bedroom lamp. He could see her silhouette moving behind the curtains. He lowered the binoculars slowly and smiled. In Ethan's mind, everything was exactly where it was supposed to be. He told himself he was just looking out for her, protecting her, making sure she was safe. That's what good neighbors did. But Ethan wasn't just watching from outside. He knew things he shouldn't have known. He knew Maya's email password. He knew her PIN. He knew what days Noah had football practice. He had learned these things quietly, carefully over time. Once, when Maya had forgotten her phone at home, Ethan had offered to keep it safe until she returned. Another time, he helped her fix her Wi-Fi, setting up access for himself without her realizing. Maya thought she was lucky. Ethan thought she was his. In his house, everything looked normal on the surface. Clean kitchen, organized shelves, framed photos on the wall. A man with nothing to hide. But inside his bedroom closet, behind a row of old winter coats, there was a locked metal box. Inside were dozens of printed photographs. Maya sitting on her porch, Maya grocery shopping, Maya talking on the phone, Maya sleeping, taken from outside her window. Some of the photos were zoomed in so closely that you could see the freckles on her face. Ethan opened the box almost every night. He would sit on his bed, flipping through the photos slowly, like memories from a relationship that didn't exist. "She just doesn't realize it yet," he whispered to himself. "We're meant to be." One night, around midnight, Noah woke up thirsty and walked toward the kitchen. As he passed the hallway, he froze. For a split second, he thought he saw a shadow near the front door, someone standing there, watching. By the time he blinked, it was gone. The next morning, he told Maya about it. "It was probably just your imagination," she brushed it off. "You've been playing too many horror games." Noah wasn't convinced. A few days later, Maya noticed something strange. Her front door was unlocked when she was sure she had locked it before leaving for work. Another time, a cupboard in the kitchen was open. Another time, her bedroom window was slightly raised. Small things, easy to ignore. Ethan noticed her discomfort. "You seem stressed lately," he said one afternoon, handing her a cup of coffee over the fence. "Everything okay?" "Yeah, just tired, I guess," Maya replied, forcing a smile. Ethan watched her closely. He could sense her pulling back just a little, talking less, smiling less, being less available. It made something dark twist inside his chest. That night, for the first time, Ethan crossed a line he had promised himself he wouldn't cross. He waited until Maya's lights went out, waited until Noah's room went dark. Then he walked across the street. He had a key. He had copied it weeks ago when Maya casually handed it to him, asking him to feed her cat while she was away for the weekend. The door opened silently. Ethan stepped inside the house that smelled faintly of vanilla and detergent. He stood in the hallway, heart pounding, listening to their breathing from the bedrooms. This was different from watching. This was real. He walked slowly toward Maya's room, stopped, listened, then turned and left, locking the door behind him exactly the way it was before. No one knew. No one suspected. Across the street, back in his room, Ethan wrote in a small notebook he kept hidden in his drawer, "She trusts me completely. Soon she won't need anyone else." Outside, Riverview Lane slept peacefully. Inside one house, a woman dreamed of a safe new life. And inside the house next door, a man was planning how to make her part of his forever. Detective Lucas Grant had learned one thing early in his career. When a powerful man disappears, the truth is rarely hidden in dark alleys or secret warehouses. It hides in clean offices, expensive suits, and the people who suddenly have something to gain. By the next morning, Grant had narrowed the case down to 3 names, 3 people who were closest to Ethan Blackwood, 3 people whose lives had quietly improved the moment he vanished. Victoria Blackwood, Mark Reynolds, Lena Brooks. Grant pinned their photos to the investigation board. Wife, business partner, personal assistant. Each one had access to Ethan's money. Each one knew his routines, and each one was lying about something. Victoria Blackwood, the perfect widow. Victoria arrived at the police station in a luxury sedan driven by a lawyer. She wore dark sunglasses and spoke softly as if the entire world might shatter if her voice rose above a whisper. "I've already told the officers everything," she said. Grant nodded. "Humor me." Victoria described Ethan as distant but loving, a man under stress, not danger. She claimed she had been asleep the entire night of his disappearance. Grant slid a document across the table. Life insurance policy, $40 million, activated 7 days ago. Victoria froze for a fraction of a second. "That's normal," she said quickly. "Ethan was a businessman. He planned for everything." Grant leaned back. "What's not normal is updating the beneficiary terms at 2 in the morning. Victoria's lips tightened. "He probably couldn't sleep." Grant didn't press further. He had what he needed. As she left, the forensic team confirmed something disturbing. Victoria's phone location placed her near the marina at 1:48 a.m., the same area where Ethan's blood-stained garage led. The perfect widow hadn't been in bed. She had been outside. Mark Reynolds, the man who took over. Mark Reynolds was already acting like a CEO. Ethan's company website had been updated within hours of the disappearance. New leadership announcement, new financial structure. Mark's signature was everywhere. Grant visited Mark's office on the 27th floor of a glass skyscraper. "Terrible tragedy," Mark said, offering a forced smile. "But business must continue." Grant noticed something odd. His hands were shaking slightly, not with grief, with fear. "Did Ethan mention leaving?" Grant asked. Mark laughed nervously. Ethan loved money too much to disappear. Grant placed a tablet on the desk. One-way flight to Dubai, booked the same night Ethan vanished, canceled at 3:11 a.m. Mark swallowed. "I changed my mind." "About running?" Grant asked. Mark's face darkened. "About vacation." Grant stood up. "Funny thing about the money, you gained full company control 6 hours after Ethan went missing." Mark's voice dropped. "Are you accusing me of something?" Grant met his eyes. Not yet. But as he walked out, Grant already knew. Mark hadn't just benefited, he had prepared. Lena Brooks, the girl who knew everything. Lena Brooks didn't arrive in a luxury car. She arrived on foot. 26 years old, quiet, nervous, the kind of person people underestimate. She had worked for Ethan for 4 years. She knew every password, every meeting, every secret. Grant offered her coffee. She didn't touch it. "Ethan was scared," Lena said immediately. "He told me someone was blackmailing him." "Who?" Grant asked. "He never said, but he asked me to delete files, financial records, emails, videos." Grant's eyes narrowed. "Did you?" Lena hesitated. "Yes." Grant leaned forward. "That's obstruction of justice." Her voice cracked. "He said powerful people would die if those files leaked, not just him. I was scared." Grant pulled up the insurance report. "Why was the life insurance policy edited using your login?" Lena's face turned pale. "I didn't know what I was doing. Ethan told me to update something. I didn't know it was insurance." Grant knew she was lying, but then the real bomb dropped. The financial team burst into the room with new information. One of the offshore accounts receiving Ethan's money was registered under Lena Brooks's identity. Not fake, real. Her name, her documents. Grant stared at her. "You want to explain that?" Lena started crying. "I never touched that money," she whispered. "I swear. Ethan set it up. He said it was a safety net in case something happened." Grant didn't know whether to believe her, but one thing was certain: the assistant had become a millionaire overnight. The pattern no one wanted to see. Grant returned to his office and looked at the board. Victoria, near the marina, Mark, ready to flee the country, Lena, secretly holding millions. 3 people, 3 lies, 3 motives. Then something clicked. All 3 of them had one thing in common. They had signed non-disclosure agreements with Ethan just weeks before his disappearance. Grant pulled the documents. The subject of the NDA? Illegal financial activities, hidden investors, offshore laundering. Ethan wasn't just rich, he was dirty. The message from the dead. At 11:43 p.m., Grant received a notification from the cyber unit. They had recovered deleted data from Ethan's drowned phone. One unsent message. It was a draft email, never sent. To Lena Brooks. Subject: "If anything happens to me." The message read, "If anything happens to me, don't trust Mark. The body is not the proof. The money is. Follow the second account. It leads to everything." Grant felt his pulse quicken. The body is not the proof. What body? There wasn't supposed to be one. Not yet. Grant stood up, already reaching for his jacket, because someone hadn't just planned for Ethan's disappearance, they had planned for his death. And the worst part? everyone involved already had their roles. They just didn't know who the real victim was going to be. The call came in at 4:17 a.m. A construction worker named Derek Walsh had been clearing land near Ethan Blackwood's private marina when his shovel struck something solid. At first, he thought it was an old pipe. Then the smell hit him. By the time Detective Lucas Grant arrived, the area was already sealed off with yellow tape. Floodlights illuminated a shallow pit in the ground. Inside it lay a burned, half-buried corpse, wrapped in layers of black plastic and duct tape. The body had been deliberately destroyed. The face was unrecognizable, the fingers charred, the teeth cracked from heat. But there was one thing that survived: a wristwatch, custom-made, platinum casing, engraved initials. E.B. Ethan Blackwood. Grant stared at it in silence as the forensic team lifted the body into a black bag. The nightmare had finally become real. Within hours, the news exploded. Missing millionaire confirmed dead. Charred body found near marina. Blackwood murder case solved. The public wanted closure. The media wanted a villain. The police department wanted to close the file. Even Grant's captain said it. Body found, identity confirmed by personal item, we can move to homicide. But Grant felt something was wrong. Too easy, too clean, too convenient. He requested full forensic analysis before declaring anything. The autopsy revealed horrifying details. The victim had been killed before being burned, blunt force trauma to the skull, no defensive wounds, no signs of a struggle, execution style. But what caught Grant's attention was the timeline. Time of death, approximately 3 days before Ethan's disappearance. Grant frowned. That meant whoever this man was, he had died before Ethan vanished, which made no sense, unless the body wasn't Ethan. The dental records. 2 days later, the dental report arrived. Grant opened the file and froze. The dental records did not match Ethan Blackwood, not even close. Different jaw structure, different fillings, different medical history. Grant whispered to himself, then who the hell is in that grave? The answer came from the National Missing Persons database. The DNA matched a man named Caleb Rourke, a former forensic accountant. Disappeared 5 years ago. Last known employer? Ethan Blackwood. Grant's blood ran cold. The man who knew too much. Caleb Rourke had been investigating financial crimes for a private firm. 5 years ago, he accused Ethan Blackwood of running a massive offshore investment scam. Days later, Caleb vanished. Case went cold. No body, no suspects. Now his corpse had surfaced, burned, buried, and wearing Ethan's watch. Grant finally understood the message from Ethan's phone. The body is not the proof, the money is. Ethan hadn't just disappeared, he had replaced himself. The second account. Grant followed the digital trail Ethan had left behind. The second account mentioned in the message led to a hidden crypto wallet protected by multi-layer encryption. It took the cyber unit 2 days to crack it. What they found inside was staggering. Transaction logs, bribe records, names of investors, politicians, judges, CEOs, hundreds of millions of dollars, illegal money, blackmail money, blood money, and every single transaction pointed back to one man, Ethan Blackwood. Grant finally saw the full picture. Ethan had been running a global financial crime network. Caleb Rourke had discovered it and was killed for it years ago. His body had been preserved, hidden, waiting to be used as a replacement corpse. The escape plan. Grant reconstructed the plan piece by piece. Step 1, retrieve Caleb's body. Step 2, burn it beyond recognition. Step 3, plant Ethan's personal items on it. Step 4, bury it near a place connected to Ethan. Step 5, disappear with the money. A perfect fake death. No trial, no prison, no enemies. Just a rich man vanishing into a new identity. And someone had helped him. Lena breaks. Grant brought Lena Brooks in again. This time she was shaking. "They found a body, so it's true, he's dead," she whispered. Grant placed the autopsy report on the table. "That body isn't Ethan." Lena stared at the paper. Her breathing became shallow. Grant leaned forward. "You knew about Caleb Rourke, didn't you?" Tears streamed down her face. "Yes," she said. "Ethan told me everything years ago. He said Caleb tried to expose him. He said he had to deal with it." Grant's voice was calm. "And the body?" Lena covered her mouth. "He kept it in a freezer warehouse he owned under a fake company. He said one day he might need it." Grant felt sick. "You helped him retrieve it." Lena nodded slowly. "He said it was insurance, a way out if things went bad." Grant asked the question that mattered most. "Was Ethan alive when you last saw him?" Lena hesitated, then whispered, "Yes." Mark's mistake. Grant turned his attention back to Mark Reynolds. Mark had suddenly transferred large amounts of money into shell companies. He had also deleted thousands of emails the night Ethan vanished. Grant obtained a warrant. They searched Mark's office. Behind a false wall, they found a hidden safe. Inside was a handgun. Ballistics confirmed it matched the type of weapon that caused the skull fracture on the corpse. Mark hadn't just known about the plan, he had participated. But something didn't add up. The body was Caleb, not Ethan. So who had Mark killed? The realization. Grant stood alone in his office at midnight staring at the investigation board. Ethan planned to disappear. Caleb was the fake corpse. Lena handled the digital trail. Mark handled the physical execution. But there was one problem. If the body wasn't Ethan, then Ethan was supposed to be alive. But no one had seen him. No cameras, no travel records, no sightings. Which meant one horrifying possibility. The perfect crime went wrong. Ethan didn't escape. He had become the real victim, and the man who replaced him in the plan was the same man who benefited the most from his disappearance. Mark Reynolds.
Detective Lucas Grant didn't sleep that night. The pieces were finally in place, but the picture they formed was far darker than he had expected. Ethan Blackwood hadn't just planned to vanish. He had engineered a crime so complex that even his own death could be hidden inside it. And the only person who truly benefited from every outcome was Mark Reynolds. The confrontation that changed everything. Grant reconstructed the final night using phone pings, deleted security logs, and Lena's testimony. Ethan had called Mark to the mansion at 1:30 a.m., not for business, for betrayal. Ethan had discovered Mark was secretly preparing to expose the entire operation to authorities, not for justice, but to cut a deal and keep the money. Mark was planning to disappear with a reduced sentence and a new identity. He invited him over under the excuse of one last negotiation. The security footage from the living room captured their argument. Two men, one empire, both desperate. Lena had watched it later. "They were screaming," she said. Ethan told him the plan was already done, that the body was ready, that Mark would be left with nothing. Grant finally understood. Ethan had planned to fake his death using Caleb's body and escape with Lena. Mark was never supposed to come with him. He was disposable. The murder no one planned. What Ethan didn't plan for was rage. According to Lena, Mark realized the truth in that moment. Years of loyalty, millions earned, and now he was being erased. The argument escalated. Mark grabbed the gun from the safe Ethan kept hidden in the study. Ethan laughed. He thought Mark was bluffing. The bullet hit Ethan in the chest. He collapsed on his own marble floor, the same house he had built, the same crime he had designed. Lena froze. Mark stood there, shaking. "He didn't mean to kill him," Lena whispered, "but once he did, he didn't hesitate again." Mark forced Lena to help. They moved Ethan's body through the panic room tunnel into the garage. That's when Ethan's blood stained the floor, the sample Grant had found on day 1. But Mark had a problem. The plan was already in motion, and now the wrong man was dead. Switching the bodies. Mark made a decision that would seal his fate. He used Caleb Rourke's body anyway, burned it, planted Ethan's watch, buried it near the marina. Then he disposed of Ethan's real body somewhere else, somewhere no one would ever look. The perfect crime modified. Ethan's death would remain invisible, and Mark would become everything Ethan was. The place no one searched. Grant returned to the one location everyone had ignored, the panic room. The tunnel didn't just lead to the garage, it branched. A second hidden corridor led to an old underground wine cellar beneath the property, one that had been sealed years ago in renovation records. Grant forced it open. The smell hit him instantly. Inside, wrapped in industrial plastic, lay a second body, Ethan Blackwood, preserved, hidden, forgotten. The man who tried to fake his death had died for real. Mark Reynolds falls. Mark was arrested the same evening. At first, he denied everything. Then Grant showed him the body. Mark laughed, not nervously, relieved. "You know what's funny?" Mark said. "Ethan thought he was smarter than everyone. He thought he could outplay life itself." Grant stared at him. "You killed him." Mark nodded slowly. "Yes, and I took what he built. Fair trade." "You didn't take everything," Grant said. Mark frowned. Grant revealed the final truth. Lena had transferred $27 million out of the second account, hours after Ethan's death. Mark's face changed. "She promised—" Grant cut him off. "She promised Ethan, not you." Mark finally broke. The only one who truly escaped. Lena Brooks disappeared. No passport records, no flights, no cameras. But Grant knew she was alive. She had learned from Ethan. She had watched Mark fail, and she had perfected the only lesson that mattered: disappear without a body, without a trace, without a name. Somewhere in the world, Lena Brooks was living under a new identity, funded by stolen millions and armed with secrets powerful enough to destroy governments. The ending the world believed was simple. Mark Reynolds killed Ethan Blackwood in a business dispute. Mark was arrested. Justice was served. Case closed. But Grant knew better. The real criminal had walked away. The real mastermind had learned. And the real danger wasn't the man who died. It was the woman who survived. Final line. Ethan Blackwood tried to fake his death. Mark Reynolds tried to steal his life. But Lena Brooks learned how to steal both. Because in the end, the greatest crime wasn't murder. It was learning how to vanish and never be found again.